Okay, everybody, this is a really exciting show. This is where, and classroom, this is where we start taking our health back, as we've done for many years. And it's time to start thinking of aging in a different way. So I'm going to ask you to fasten your seatbelts because we are going to learn together. Here we go. It's time to dance, Anna Maria.
Okay. Thank you.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and my viewing friends on Facebook.com/Lillian's radio show. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who have been tuning in since 2011 or tuned in yesterday for the first time, welcome back. But if this is the first time that you are tuning into the classroom, please know we've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dream, your best life naturally. Now, this is not, living the best life naturally is not a secret. It is not something that you need to hack. It is not, something that that it's hard to do. It's simple. It really is simple. But we've made it complicated. The media has made it complicated. Pharmaceuticals have made it complicated. Our processed foods have made it complicated. But this is where we can take our health back, where we learn a new truth, where many 2,500 years ago, even beyond that, we talked about food as medicine. We talked about how we were given everything that covers the earth was given to us so that it will help us heal. There's weeds that we use for holistic treatments. There's so many different ways that we can heal our body naturally. Well, more than a half a century ago, a visionary humanitarian woman named Anne Wigmore put into practice the simple concept that let thy food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food, which was quoted by Hippocrates. And for most of their life, Anna Maria and Brian Clement of Hippocrates Health Institute have made it their mission to continue the work that Anne started and even improve upon it. And so today we're talking about this power that, not today, we talk about this all the time. The power that we all have to heal is in us. We have a source within us. And so I am really excited because now I get to see Brian as well. Both Anna Maria and Brian Clements, they are the co-directors of Hippocrates Health Institute. It's been since 2015 or 16 since they've been on. We just reconnected at the ACIM conference where they were there giving a talk as well. And it is such a pleasure to reconnect with the roots of how food is medicine and medicine is our food. We're going to discuss how to tap into the source within us so that we can prevent disease and slow down the aging process. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Anna Maria and Brian Clement are here to do just that. Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show / classroom now.
Well, so nice to be with you. It's
Yeah.
great that you're educating people. Our culture, our society needs to be awakened. We've been put to sleep by industry. We have been trained to be subservient.
Yes.
We're under the thumb of the food industry, the medical industry, and the institute that Anna and I have had the privilege to direct for 40 years now.
Wow.
In 1980, we became the directors, have pioneered the field of lifestyle medicine. So back in 1956, when there was no such thing as natural health care, alternative health care, complementary health care, our founder, who reversed stage 4 cancer after the Harvard doctors told her she had 3 months to live, opened the doors in Boston. And we moved down here to West Palm Beach back in 1987. And we've worked with hundreds of thousands of people to prevent the aging process, which we've done very successfully. And you have too, obviously. And also, many people have reversed catastrophic disease and prevented disease. So the Institute's not only for sick people, it's for conscious people.
It is beautiful. It's a beautiful facility that no matter why you are there, the fact that you're there is so special. So I've loved going there. The food is delicious, and I'm really excited to get into the depth of, you know, where we can uncover and break that hypnotic state that we're in, that makes us think that being healthy is difficult. Anna Maria, share a little bit about your background, because you started this way, you worked with Anne, right?
Yeah, I worked with Anne too. And,
Yeah.
you know, I started off in Sweden, where I'm from, and I became vegan at 15 and more or less fumbled into it because athletically it made me so much better. I hope anybody who's seen Game Changer, you know why it works. But I wanted to work in this field, and I saw that so many people were confused about, and life was so complicated and so much pain, and people lived in that confused state of, you know, how do I get out of it? And so I wanted to practice with people that was in this field. And the one that I chose was a lady that had rheumatoid arthritis and was totally crippled by the time she was 50. And she changed, and she became vegan and totally plant-based, and changed her attitude, and had so much compassion that she opened a clinic and helped so many thousands of people. And I was on cloud 9. I just could not believe that people could heal and just get out of their misery and then flourish. So when Wigmore came, she came to Sweden first time 1976. And I listened to her, and I was like, oh, this is raw, this is live. And she could make banana ice cream. That was sold.
I know, that's how I get people hooked.
Exactly. So I wanted to study with her. So I finally came over, and then I met Brian, and I never made it back to Sweden.
But interestingly enough, both of you were in that same path. So Brian, how did you get on that path that led you to meeting your beautiful wife and changing your lifestyle?
Well, in 1969, I was a pioneer in American obesity. I weighed 120 pounds more.
Wow.
And smoking cigarettes, 3 packs of cigarettes a day. I thought that's what the Marlboro Man did, so it must be sexy.
And doctors too, because 9 out of 10 doctors recommend Marlboro.
I used to believe the advertisement. I said, well, maybe if I smoke, I'd become a doctor.
That worked.
I met a woman who was in her 70s, and I was just a boy about 20 at that point. And she told me that she had healed catastrophic disease with diet. And for where I came from, the New York area, I thought she was making up a story. You know, everyone I'd ever heard that had cancer or heart attack, they were laying in a casket.
Yeah.
And she took me under her wing and said I should work in this field. And, you know, at that point, although I was getting a formal education at a university, You couldn't go to a university then, nor today, by the way, and get the right education.
Correct.
There's only one place that Anne-Marie and I helped to create in Europe that you can get a master's and doctorate degree in lifestyle medicine, but nowhere in America, nowhere in other parts of the world. And started to work in this field 50 years ago. As a matter of fact, in 1 month, it will be my 50th anniversary.
Congratulations.
And basically never looked back. It's been a privilege, a joy, exciting. The day that I think this is work, I'm going to quit, because I get up every day excited to see what you can do once you take responsibility. And was with our founder of Hippocrates, Anne Wigmore, in 1978 in Stockholm, Sweden. We did a 2-day conference, and I walked into the room and I instantly fell in love with Anna Maria. You know, you hear these things in songs, but they're true. I instantly fell in love, and I've loved her more every single day. And you know, I always say God sent me my wife, the mother of my children, my co-worker, and an angel. And so together, and that's what men better listen to me now. We are not solo acts. We need women in our lives, and women soften us. Women give us bigger views. They make us have wider eyes, as I say. And so we're good at being bulls. You give us one thing to do as men, we'll do it like you can't believe. You give us 2 things.
No.
3 things, we're completely
They
out of
forget it all.
our...
They forget it all.
So we need partnerships.
Yeah.
That's what we're meant to do. And I think, you know, we've been great partners. And
How long have you guys been married now?
for about together for almost 40 years, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
But we have a ton of women working with us.
Yeah.
We have amazing men, but we have a lot of women working.
Wonderful, wonderful. So basically today, because I wanted to get back to my roots, I remember when I first was challenged on the show to go raw vegan, and I tell this story all the time because it really affected my life. It changed my life. What happened to me was I was challenged to go raw vegan for a month. And after I said, you know what, I can do anything for a month.
Yeah.
And so I remember 4 days into my challenge, I started feeling really good. But the deal was that I wasn't overweight. I wasn't feeling bad. I just didn't know I could feel better. Many of us don't know that there's something better out there, that we get stuck into this, life is the way it is, and this is as good as I am. But there could be some tweaking that we can do. And I'm hoping that today will inspire many people to, if just adding one raw vegan meal to their life every day, it might help them feel a little bit better too. So today
we can get right into the science of this.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's get into the science.
So, you know, we share the planet Earth with about 8 million other species. We're one of 8 million species. 100% of every other species on Earth live on a raw food diet. The only species that choose to cook our food is Homo sapiens, the species you and I are part of. Now think about that. The institute, the oldest institute in the world and in history, for 64 years, has put the sickest and smartest people on a raw food, plant-based diet and watched thousands and thousands of people reverse cancers, heart disease, diabetes, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, mental illness, and the list goes on.
Crohn's colitis, gastrointestinal problems, that's so many people suffer.
So,
But you know, some of those diseases that you talked about, people have been told you cannot eat vegetables, you cannot eat raw, and you can. So how does medicine go take that leap when we know that food is medicine, stated by Hippocrates?
Modern medicine is all about taking away symptoms and watching out for liability. That's it. So when a patient comes in, the doctor's foremost, even though this woman and man may be a good human being, a good doctor, they don't mean ill or harm. They've been trained to stay out of harm's way. They've been trained to pacify you, calm you down. You're not going in where the doctor says, let's reverse the disease. The doctor's saying, let's wane the symptoms. So the difference with us, we want to disassemble you and reassemble you. We want to go back to the root causes of all these diseases. And this is why everyone that comes to us has a multitude. We have 8 departments. We have an electromagnetic department, energy medicine department. We have an IV department. We have a hyperbaric chamber department. We have a psychotherapy department. And so every guest experiences all of the aspects that may create a cancer or multiple sclerosis or Parkinson's or diabetes, etc. And so some of these diseases that they call chronic diseases are totally reversible.
Absolutely.
I mean, diabetic type 2 condition's not a disease. It's a lifestyle choice. Heart disease, 97% is a lifestyle choice. Only 3% is mechanical.
And so many people are called autoimmune. They're told that you have an autoimmune problem. There's nothing we can do. Absolutely. It's totally reversible.
There's no such thing as an autoimmune problem.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Anyone who comes into the classroom and says one size fits all, there's so many people that have these fad diets and they say you do this and this will happen, you do this. But what I loved about Hippocrates and what I love about many of the doctors that come on is that we know one size does not fit all. Because you can eat the cleanest diet in the world, but if you are harmful to yourself and body through thought, action, deed, whatever it is, all those foods, those nutritional foods, are not going to have the same effect that if you work on past traumas and you work on other issues in your life. And I remember walking in the hallways of Hippocrates, and there was this beautiful area where you have the psychological, the people that are helping you with the emotional issues. Yeah. And I remember you saying, you must go through here before you get through anywhere else. Anna Maria, would you like to talk a little bit about the psychological aspect of health?
That often is the toughest thing that people go through, because that means that you actually have to dig deep to heal so many things in the past. And, you actually have to heal past before you can heal today. So our psychologists are amazing. They've worked with us for like 25, 30 years now. Mm-hmm. And so they're so totally living the lifestyle and has, helped so many people. I can give you so many examples of how people healed from the sessions that they did with our psychologists. Yeah. But the diet, the diet opens because you're getting frequency, you're getting oxygen, you're getting enzymes, phytonutrients. So they open also your body to be more open to change. So, it kind of works hand in hand, because I can tell you that every therapy we do at the Institute, even the psychology, works better at the Institute than outside, because we have the package.
Yes. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so we have a question by Jenny Sims. And by the way, any of you who have a question, type in a Q, write your question, and I will, whenever it's applicable, whenever we can do that, I will ask the question. Sometimes we wait till the classroom ends, but right now we're talking about food. And so Jenny has a question about epilepsy. What does a raw vegan diet do for epilepsy?
Oh. You have to understand that in our knowledge in science today, there's over 120 different causes for epilepsy. About a third are emotional causes, traumatic causes, which we've just addressed. A high percentage is neurological disorders, some is brain chemistry problems, etc. But what you have to understand about raw food is they contain 3 elements that when you take the same food and cook it are gone. The most important we'll speak about is phytonutrients. Mm-hmm. Now, this is an amazing story. So if you go back hundreds of millions of years ago, when plants were here, this is before humans were here, before creatures were here, these plants were encoded with medicine that was going to help our species. Now think about this. Hundreds of millions of years ago, nature, the universe, encoded medicine called phytochemicals inside of plants that are going to help our species that hasn't been around in this form for more than 10,000 years. Mm-hmm. Now that's beginning. When those phytochemicals come in, they switch on and switch off disease. They switch on positive DNA that activates the immune system, and they switch off disease-causing genes. Now, the other thing is, if you go to the average physician today, or even at a university, they're going to tell you that your genes create disease. This has completely been debunked.
Yeah.
Completely debunked.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, we now realize, as the Europeans do, that it's epigenetics, what you think, the environment you're in, etc. So when we look at an epileptic person, we ask two things. What is being switched off in this little person or older person's mind, in the brain, that's causing a seizure, where basically the wire's been cut? Think of this. If you put a screwdriver on a bare wire, imagine what that's going to do. You could be electrocuted. It's like an electrocution of the nervous system that the epileptic is having. So how do we switch that off? And some of these phytonutrients do it. Now, I don't want to sound complicated, but you have receptor sites. These are hormones. And these receptor sites need to be replenished with enzymes. Enzymes are only in raw plant-based food. And if you, in fact, don't keep giving yourself raw plant-based food or take supplemental enzymes, which Anna Marie and I take 50 a day for anti-aging, because they're so amazing for that.
Especially B12.
Oh, yeah.
For you.
Amazing. So what we're doing is empowering the neuroreceptor sites to calm down the nervous system, to communicate with neuron to neuron. If that communication's not going on, it's like I start screaming at you at the top of my lungs, you start screaming at me, both of us will eventually be so shaken up that you'll run out of the room and I'll run out of the room. That's what it's like for the poor epileptic. And the third thing you have to understand is that certain so-called foods, meat, which includes fish, chicken, turkey, red meat, dairy foods,
Sugar.
dairy food, which means milk, cheese, yogurt, kefir, all of this stuff, literally clog the neurons in the brain. And so now you have a buffered receptor site. So I'm speaking clearly to you, hear me. This is like putting the animal food in your mouth. So all at once now, they're not communicating correctly. So we've seen hundreds of people able to reverse this. The use of CBD oil is amazingly good, because what it does is it up channels a lot of the receptor activity of the neurons in the brain and nervous system. So one of the things I've seen CBD oil, the correct type, work on is epileptic problems.
We have,
Go ahead, Anna Marie.
a lady at the Institute now, she came 30 years ago with epilepsy, and she's been medicine free, totally free of it for so many years. And she gradually, it's a lot of fear too. I had seizures as a child, so I know there's a lot of fear involved in that. When I became vegan, it got a little bit better. When I got on raw food, oh my God, the difference was night and day.
Interesting that you would have your own personal story with that as well. And so when it comes to the testing of the neurons, and you were talking about the neurons fighting back. I remember when I was younger, I was told that before the age of 7, your neurons are connected. After that, you're done. And they've proven that wrong as well. So there's so many things that we thought were true. And that's why I call this a new truth, because we have got to, things that supported us back then do not support us today. And so this is why I'm so passionate about spreading these new truths that we need to adopt ourselves. Research, just because we say it here in the classroom, take it upon yourself, be responsible, look at the research behind all of this that we discussed today.
Well, the difficulty we have, love, is that the institutions of education are based on faulty information. This is information we may have believed 50 years ago, 100. You look at physics as an example. We're teaching Newtonian physics from 300 years ago. And nothing's wrong with that, but how about quantum physics? So you could get out from Oxford or Stanford or Harvard or Cambridge with a PhD and not know what you're doing because you don't know about quantum physics. You could be a medical doctor. You realize they have 168 specialties. Not one of them is diet. Now, can you imagine? This is the world we live in. So no wonder the poor patients, the publics, are confused today.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of nutritional information out there, like milk does the body good, you get your, potassium from bananas, and bananas don't, the bananas like have all this power, but really there's other like, there's sweet potatoes, there are other things that have a little bit more potassium than a banana, but
Greens to the top.
A lot, raw greens.
Raw greens, here we go.
Greens.
So with that in mind, I've got another question from Kimberly. Hey, Kimberly, and I'm so grateful to see everybody in the classroom today. And unless you say where you're from, I don't know, I can't see you. So make sure that you just share who are you from as well, and any question that you have. She said, are you working with people with most histamine issues? With mast cell, I'm sorry. I better get my magnifying glass, excuse me. Mast cell histamine issue.
I can, tell you how many people we've worked with asthma, severe allergies that, through diet, through psychology, through cleansing and saunas are totally free of that now.
We target supplementation. We use very elaborate and sophisticated scanning that I wish more people around the world did. One is called CyberScan. It's from Germany, and the other is from Russia called BioWell. We combine that with an elaborate medical blood test. Now, that information gives us probably about 50 to 100 times more information than you'd get if you just did one of those. Mm-hmm. So we really look at the detail, the causative reasons of why somebody would have a histamine action, an allergy action. Maybe it comes from emotions. Believe it or not, we can actually tell that. Mm-hmm. Maybe it comes from a biochemical problem, a gut problem.
Right.
That they have fermentation, as Warburg taught us in the 1924. So we're able to do that. And then we're lucky at the Institute because you don't come in for only an appointment. You stay with us for several weeks. So we watch you unfold. We recheck you. We literally see your evolutionary process of healing and what works. So we actually tell you, maybe you need an IV of glutathione. Maybe you need a hyperbaric chamber. Maybe you literally need to get into our energy medicine department and use lasers or use electromagnetic therapy. Or maybe you need a combination of those. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it's a blockage because when you were a 10-year-old girl, your father abused you. These are the things we see. And unless you're looking at things in that comprehensive way, you're really not helping people the way that you should be.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm glad that you mentioned the testing that you do, because, some of these tests that are out there are a true roadmap to health, because you can see the deficiencies. And with all the raw vegan food, you're still taking 50 pills for enzymes? Tell us more.
So this morning, Anna Marie and I got up and we took 35 supplements, 5 of which are algae. We take pollens, we take minerals. We take powders of minerals. So all of these are raw and living. I wrote the definitive book on this. I blew the lid off the supplement industry because it's called Supplements Exposed. 91% of the supplements on the market are dangerous, not only frauds, but dangerous because they're made out of things like oil, motor oil, turpentine for vitamin E, coal tar, which they make roads out of. And it's only 9% that are food-based and raw. So we start with that. Now at night, before we eat our meal, for anti-aging, to increase the electromagnetic frequency of our cells. Now what we do know since 1954, Dr. Harmon back then told us all aging and all disease is free radical damage. Mm-hmm. What a free radical is, it's electric that attacks a healthy cell and kills it. When we put enzymes, which are electric, healthy electric, into your body, the electromagnetic field gets into the cell, surrounds the cell. So when the electron comes, the free radical to age you, it doesn't happen. It's rejected. It's a shield with it. What I'm telling you now is well-researched information that most of you will never hear on other places. So now many of you need enzymes to help you to digest food, but the other benefit is anti-aging. So we love to take supplements. Now here, let me tell you why. people who are naive and innocent and don't have clinical backgrounds like we do would say, if you're eating 100% organic raw diet, why would you need so many supplements? The fact is, I have a friend that used to teach psychology at Harvard, and we had a conversation 25 years ago, and he said, how many times more stress does a woman or a man have today compared to 100 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Take a wild guess. What do you think it is?
Probably 100%.
15,000.
Oh, I'm way off. I should have researched that a little bit more.
Now listen to this. So I doubted him. I said, what do you mean 50? How do you come up with this number?
Right.
He said, remember, we had no television, no radio, no airplanes, no technologies, no cell phones, no phones.
No rubber shoes.
No rubber. We had none of this stuff. We basically were just in a very small, wonderful world of support with our families and our loved ones and our community. And we were farmers, and
you had your garden.
Yeah, all the farms were organic. We didn't have to go to the Whole Food Market and spend more money not to have spray. Everything was organic.
Yes.
People hardly ate animal-based foods. People 100 years ago, they ate animal-based food maybe once a week or twice a week.
Right.
The only people that ate animal foods were the aristocracy. They were the only sick people back then, period. They were the fat ones. They were the sick ones. They died. They would call them the aristocracy diseases.
Mm-hmm.
And so the world was simple. You and I are being bombarded. Now, the number one way that you wipe out nutrition is pest. So even though you're getting massive amounts from your food-based organic diet, we all need exceptionally high amounts of nutrition a day. Now, when we test our blood, we're not deficient in anything. You don't have to be waiting till you're deficient.
Correct. I agree. Totally agree with that.
Today I started my day, before I got on with you, I talked to Oslo, Norway. I talked to London, England. Okay. Tonight I'll end the night at 10 o'clock at night. And by the way, even though I love to go to bed at night, I have energy to the minute I go to bed. And I wouldn't have that without the supplements, without the exercise. I was just in the sauna.
Yeah.
I came out of 30 minutes. I take a sauna. Anna takes a sauna every single day. Detox 365 days a year.
We walk every day.
Walk every day. We lift weights. We lift heavy weights so that we're not skinny little vegans. I'm tired of skinny little vegans. I want muscles, And Anna Marie is well into her 60s, and very soon I'll be 70 years old. And
Very good.
Honest to God, we have the energy of a 20-year-old. Not because we're abnormal, because people are abnormal.
Correct.
And they're getting weak.
Correct. And I don't know how long ago I heard this talk given by you, Brian, but you have an acronym. It's HOPE: hormones, oxygen, phytonutrients, and enzymes. So let's talk about that. Is that the prevention, or is that, because when you prevent dis-ease, you're also slowing down the aging process.
Absolutely.
So go ahead. Let's quickly go through this HOPE that you talk about.
So back in 1980, when I came back from living in Europe and developing centers and running centers there for 3 years, I was asked to become the director. And I only had one request, that we finally figure out why people were recovering from disease at Hippocrates. We watched it happen. We didn't know how. So we, of course, didn't have a research team or a budget for that. But thank God, global science started to give us the answers. So what is in the food that nobody's talking about today, unfortunately, except Hippocrates? In food, you get hormones. Now, any of you listening out there that have a little knowledge know that when we get old, it's our hormones get low. When we get wrinkled, our hormones get low. When our memory goes bad, it's our hormones get low. So with that said, if nature says hormones are that important, where do we get natural hormones from? Raw, organic, plant-based foods. The only natural place you get hormones is from raw, organic, plant-based foods. Once you cook the food, they're done. They're gone. They're not there. Do you think you get hormones from eating chicken? You get the wrong hormones from eating chicken.
Correct.
Eating an egg. You're getting a hormone that's going to make a chicken, or a hormone that's going to make a 1,100-pound animal. That's not hormones that's supposed to be programmed. The second is oxygen. I mentioned Warburg earlier. In 1924, we realized that if you reduce the healthiest woman or the healthiest man's oxygen by 1/3, they begin having cancer. Period. Where do you get oxygen from naturally? Either breathing, which none of us do well, including you and I. Even if you're sitting in a yoga position, oming all day long, you're not getting enough oxygen. And the second place is from food. And we've known since the Nobel Prize was given to a German scientist in 1918, who said you can't digest vitamins, proteins, or minerals without oxygen being present. Where oxygen's present is in raw plant-based food. You think you get oxygen eating a chicken or eating yogurt? It reduces oxygen. So that's the second thing you get in raw food. The third thing I mentioned, so we'll go through it quickly, phytochemicals. These are the magic elements that reverse and prevent disease. I've written books for the doctors. I wish they read the damn things. It's a series of academic books called Food is Medicine. And it's hundreds of pages of all the science on why raw food is reversing diseases. Not only do we have clinical proof of it, like the woman that came to us the other day, who came to us 20 years ago with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. She sat in my office and she said, I can't die. I have 5 young daughters and my husband abandoned us. They'll have nobody. And I said, you don't have to die, but you have to change your attitude, because why you told me you want to live is for your daughters. That's not good enough. Tell me why you want to live. So she went into our psychotherapist. She came back and gave me the right answer. Now she's 84. I wish I had as much energy and love as she has in her. And she's completely reversed a disease that nobody reverses in mainstream medicine because of phytochemicals and because of attitude. And the last are enzymes. You're electric. Why medicine fails, including natural doctors, why they fail, is they look at you as biochemistry. You're not biochemistry. You're electromagnetic frequency. Where do you get the electric? In raw plant-based food. Where do you get the phytochemicals? Raw plant-based food. So hope, hormones, oxygen, phytochemicals, and enzyme. You cook it, kaput, finished.
Yeah.
Some foodists that are vegan, they say that if you steam it just a little bit, it doesn't hurt it. Is that true or not?
They're wrong.
They're wrong.
So they've got to read the work of the most important man in the world.
Dr.
In this.
Howe.
You know, they don't basically have to make this stuff up. It's at the Linus Pauling Institute. Dr. David Williams. He's part of our online program too, Dr. David Williams. And of course, that was the alma mater of Linus Pauling, the only man in history that won 2 Nobel Prizes for uniquely different subjects. He has been researching for decades and shows that once you steam a food, the medicine is gone, period. This isn't an opinion. Other people don't really have knowledge they should, and they have opinion. I hope they don't have an opinion that when people say, I'm not cooking, I'm steaming. I'm not cooking, I'm blanching. I'm not cooking, I'm baking. There's 2 ways to kill something. You torture them and they die, or you kill them. Once you steam, cook, blanch, bake, it's dead. I don't care what word you use. Once you kill it, the vitamins are gone pretty much. The proteins are contorted. The minerals may hold up, but the hormones, oxygen, phytochemicals, and enzymes are gone.
Vitamins are gone. And also Dr. Howe did tons of research where he found that at beyond 118 Fahrenheit, your enzymes are killed. And so, you know, it's been researched over.
So below 100, what is the 110? Below 105?
118. So we tell people to have a food thermometer and never go above 112 or 113 to be safe.
You have a dehydrator.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
Yes.
You want to make soup. You take your blender, you take your mixer, you put your favorite vegetables and seasoning, put a food thermometer in, cook it to 110, 115.
I call it pinky warm. When you pinky
What you usually do is you kill it and then let it cool anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Yes. Okay. So, you know, these are the wonderful things that we learn. You know, Bryant just spoke about that we are electrical beings, and that is so true. And that's one of the reasons I had called them over to my booth with the ground therapy, I was like, let's just check this out. Look at how we are attracting all this electromagnetic fields, and putting your hand on this ground therapy. And for those of you who have bought the mats, I'm getting rave reviews, so excited about that. This is how we take ownership for our lives. And I get so excited whenever I find something that's affordable, that everybody can, just skip a meal. You don't need to eat you can just drink water and buy yourself a mat. It just
Absolutely.
is wonderful.
Yeah.
And those mats you
Great.
have are fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're using the latest technology. Our bed here is grounded.
Yes.
We grounded our bed 10 years ago. And
Awesome.
many people tell us they sleep better, they feel better, their brains work better, their hearts are regulated, even fibrillation of the heart we've seen people take away.
Yes, the blood gets thinner and works a little bit faster, and people start getting better. So here's what I'd like for you to do. Go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber, check out my sponsors, because without the sponsors, we would not have a classroom. Sponsors like Liberty Health Share at libertyhealthshare.org, where you can take your health back instead of insurance, assurance of your health. Keep Me Safe Organics, beauty products from head to toe that are non-toxic, all organic, non-synthetic, and you get percent off, 10% off your entire purchase when you go through their First Alternative Care. We need to bring them back so that we can explain. It's too good to be true. First Alternative Care, 24 hours, 24/7 medical, non-urgent medical, dermatology, and 3 hours a year of behavioral health counseling for your entire household for $45 a month. And that's an incredible value. Dr. Stephen Grable, who was part of the ACIM conference, he's a teacher in the classroom, the founder of Complementary Care Center in Jacksonville, Florida. We also have the pharmacy in Merritt Island that does the natural compounds, 20% off. You mentioned my name. Live Longer Medical, that's using natural products to make you beautiful from the inside and out. And of course, Ground Therapy. These are all sponsors that are helping this classroom thrive. So, and you too can become an enrolled student. So figure out a way that you can support our sponsors, the way that they're supporting the classroom, and as well as you can give your time, your talent, your treasure, spread the word, because this is the information that is not readily available. And so I want to encourage you to start becoming your own MD, your own medical detective, and search a new truth for yourself as well. And so I am so grateful to Anna Maria and Brian Clement, who are here from Hippocrates Health Institute. You can go to hippocratesinst.org. And if you are a subscriber at whenyouneedafriend.com, and by the way, follow me, subscribe, share, all that stuff, like me, and share this video once it's published. But here's the thing: we need to stick together. This is the only way we're going to create critical change or critical mass, is by all uniting together and researching this. Don't repeat what I say. Don't repeat what Brian and Anna Maria say. Research it. Make it your truth. It is so important that we stick together and be strong, because there's a lot of people that are going to make fun of you and say, oh, that's nonsense. And you'll say, well, here's, PubMed.gov. Here's the information for the mats. Here's the information. And arm yourself with the truth, with the shield of truth. Okay, so thank you so much for, and I want to let you know that the Institute is in West Palm Beach. It's absolutely beautiful. You can go there for the day. You can go there for longer than that. And you can call them at 1-800-842-2125. That's 1-800-842-2125, or you can call locally at 561-471-8876. Okay, so we have lots of questions for you. Is there anything that you would like to add to prevent or reverse aging? People that are like maybe have weaker muscles, maybe have some, wrinkles on their face. What can you say to encourage them to start reversing the aging process?
We're going to go through a series of things.
Yeah.
Anna Marie and I have just finished a book that will be out on February 1st next year.
Okay.
It's called Menopause. And why we wrote it together is that most women are being accused of, oh, you have menopause symptoms, that's why you're nasty.
That's right.
Fact of the matter is, women generally begin menopause in their 40s. Men begin menopause, which is scientifically called andropause, at 25. So we are virile creatures at 19 or 20. You don't want to be around a young guy if you're a girl at 19 or 20. I can tell you now. But at 25, we jump off the cliff. So we are virile. We are sexual. We are hormonally endowed. At 25, it goes like this. Not only do human growth hormones stop creating, not only does glutathione stop creating in your body, but literally your hormones go down. Now, there used to be a belief system that muscles were just to look good. We now realize if you don't have muscles, you're going to age 2 to 3 times faster. Women and men, by the way, women and men. Muscles help you create hormones in your body. You don't have muscles, you're in trouble. This is in part, nobody discusses it, why women have osteoporosis, why women have fractures. They don't have muscles. You say, what do muscles have to do with bone?
Yeah.
Well, same way you build muscle, you build bone. You press cell on cell. Now the cells on the bone get thicker and stronger. If you're not putting pressure on your bones, you're going to end up with osteoporosis. What's ironic, the women who look sexy and thin and beautiful are the ones with the osteoporosis. Big overweight women sitting on a couch, they don't have osteoporosis. They have more diabetes, cancer, heart disease. But the fact is, they don't have osteoporosis. They're carrying weight their whole life. So just because you look good doesn't mean that.
We really need to change this. We really need to change this. Okay, so I have some questions. You guys decide. So Kathy Brennan asked, do you test genes before administering the glutathione, etc.? I think we covered that.
Yeah, we can. We also do these elaborate tests, which are in way checking genetics, but we have the access to do genes with spectra cell tests and more elaborate testing. Genes are not always the most important things when it comes to glutathione. It's more so what you're looking at in the deficiencies of what's called the mitochondria in the cells, which we get in the German technology called CyberScan.
That's the CyberScan. Oh, I would love to go down there and do that CyberScan.
Come down, you're invited.
Absolutely.
Okay. So then Kimberly wants to know, you brought up suppressed emotion, and do you have emotion code type practitioners?
Yes, of course. And it's so popular and it changes people's life. I just talked to somebody yesterday. She is just, it's just opened up a whole new world for her. And so that is really, it's well used at the Institute.
Yeah. Most psychology is a fraud. Okay?
Tell it like it is, Brian. Don't hold back.
My neighborhood, you don't hold back. What it is they string you along. Let's keep talking about your problems for years.
How do you feel about that?
Forget it. It's ridiculous. If you can't we tell our psychotherapists at Hippocrates, you have 3 weeks at most with these people.
Yeah.
You can't help them. You're not going to save their life.
Right.
So that's why you have to get.
No pressure.
That's it.
No pressure, but if you can't save them, you can't. Okay, so then Kimberly wants to know if you're using hydrogen water. And I know that we get a lot of fluids from our plants, from juicing. And I had, I think it was Jean Pollock talk about 4th stage of water.
Oh, yeah. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Michael Pollock from Washington State University.
Yeah.
You're talking about. Yeah. He wrote the definitive book.
I thought it was Gerald. But
no, you're right. It's Gerald. Michael Pollan is a writer. You're right.
Yeah.
It's Gerald. Yeah. He's part of our online program.
What a great guy. What a great guy.
He's the best. He's the best.
Yes.
But so yes, this morning, hydrogen water is part of what Anna Marie and I took.
Yeah.
So the water we mix in our powders with is hydrogen water. And by the way, you don't have to spend a lot of money for this. For about $150, you can buy a little hydrogen water maker that you plug into the wall. You don't even need batteries for it, and it creates incredible hydrogen.
What's it called?
It's something, we'll give you the name of it, and you should be offering this to the people there, love, because this is inexpensive and effective.
Yeah.
Okay, because this weekend with the ACIM conference, I was given some tablets to add to my water that added. Is that good too?
it's good, but compared to something that you don't have to keep buying,
Yeah.
you just buy once and you have it for years.
I like how you think. I like how you think. Okay, so Jenny wants to, let's see, how much time do we have available? We have 5 minutes available. Okay, is there anything before I ask this question that you would like to add? Either one of you.
Well,
It's all about balance. You know, we need to go to sleep earlier. We all stay up too late. We need to exercise. We need to fit everything in. So, you know, TV and all this Facebook, we need to limit everything, because otherwise there's not enough hours in a day.
It is very stressful. And I can see that alone adding 1,500% of stress into people's lives.
look at two studies that have come out in the last couple of years, which we're just happy to see this. They found out lonely people, and let me tell you, 60% of Americans call themselves lonely.
Yeah.
Lonely people live 15 years less than people with friends. Now think of that. We're talking 15 years. I don't care how many greens you eat.
No.
Loneliness, by the way, is just as bad.
Just as bad as being sick or
And
smoking.
Tell the other story out west that they did on people after 55.
Yeah, and so community is really the most important. And they found that if I have like 4 friends, I live 5-6 years longer.
Can you imagine? So after 65, you better have friends.
Yes.
You have no friends, get out on the street.
That study was when they were looking at the centenarians, and they were saying, what do they have in common? Oh, not all of them ate well. Not all of them didn't smoke. Not all of them didn't drink. What they all had in common is they felt valued. They felt part of a community.
Yes.
And that was what helped them. And it wasn't like they didn't have pollution. I mean, they had all these things, but feeling like you belong. Yes. And if you don't feel, and for those of you who are watching today or watch later on whether it's on podcast or YouTube or later on Facebook too, you know, if you feel alone right now, it's on you to create community. Join a group, figure out what you love, join that, find yourself around like-minded people, and start growing that way as well. And of course, you have a friend here in the classroom. And so those are ways that we can stop this madness of, these are the cards I was dealt.
Yeah, and let me tell you, these politicians, they divide and conquer. They have Americans fighting with Americans. Yeah. When I was a boy, it didn't matter what political party you were part of, you were an American first. Yes. You were not a Democrat, you were not a Republican, you were not an independent, you were an American. Let's stop this shit. They have you under the thumb. They have you under the thumb, people. After your stresses, you watch these nasty people fighting with one another. Yeah. You are a great human being. There's nothing you're incapable of. You can conquer disease, prevent disease. You can be a contributing member of our society. You just have to have enough self-respect to eat right, think right, exercise, and thank God every day for what you have.
Absolutely. Amen. I will make, because we are about to end the podcast. And so I know that we have a question from Jenny, and I don't know if we'll have time to address it after, but hold on, Jenny, okay? And perhaps maybe we can address it at another time too, privately. But I want all of us to start embracing new truths, something different. I mean, this is the end of the year 2019 when we're recording this, and I can date it because I want people to know that, you know, truths like this, they're constant. They're constant. So even when we say it in 2019, 2020, we are entering into this new thought mentality that, oh, this year is going to be great. And then what's going to be different? That's the third question of taking responsibility for our lives is, you know, first one is, how did I create it? The second one is, are the gift and lessons? The third one is, what's going to be different? And the fourth one is, how can I use my experience for the greater good? the things that happen to us. That's how we take ownership for our lives. So if you're feeling alone right now, this is how we start. Take ownership. Anna Maria and Brian Clement, we're going to continue our conversation after the podcast ends. And for you that are listening on the podcast, you can join us at facebook.com/Lillian's radio show. Thank you for being a part of this morning ritual. I love being part of your morning ritual today. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott, Anna Maria, and Brian Clement wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, so how much time, because we didn't have time to prep before the class, do you have a heart out this morning?
What time is it now?
9.
It is 9:02.
Yeah, so we're good for at least another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have a heart out in about I have a heart out in about 10-15 minutes as well.
Good. All right.
So we'll get this. So here's the thing. When we discuss disease, people are okay when disease is caused outside of us.
Right.
But the moment we say the emotional component of disease, now there is, if you're not ready to hear this truth, then it is foreign and insulting.
Right.
So if someone has conditions, does it always mean that there are past traumas, resentments, lack of forgiveness? Is there something, if there is a condition within you?
In 100% of cases,
Yes.
it's part of the story. In probably about 35% of the cases, it's the entire story. So I'll give you the story about breast cancer. As a male, I had a concept 40 years ago that when I saw women who had breast cancer or fibroid tumors, they often felt abused, unwanted, unloved, or they were women who wanted to have children who never did. And I was invited about 38 years ago to speak in Detroit. And the person who spoke before me was a medical doctor who was a surgeon and left it, and now is working with women's emotional issues and their relationship with both breast cancer and fibroid and cystic tumors, as well as ovarian cancer. And if I had written the lecture, it was what I thought in my mind. And I went up and I hugged her and I said, "Thank you for saying that, because I thought as a male I didn't have the right to think that this was true." She said, "Yes, we can show you the absolute." This is 38 years ago.
Yeah, the work of Dr. Hammer, also in Germany, he's also talked about that too.
You know, part of our program, we have a comprehensive cancer program. And the woman that runs that, Dr. Jan Ranecki, was the partner of Carl Simonton, the father of all of this. So for 25 years, she worked at his side, and they were dealing with visualization and reversing disease. So again, all of us, including you and I, have emotional reasons why you'd get a common cold. Not only is it, yes, you're getting an infection, why are you emotionally weakened so the infection took to you now, and last week you were exposed to more bacteria or virus and you didn't get it because you had a trauma, you didn't sleep well enough, your boyfriend broke up with you, you found out your child's on drugs, and whatever it is. So we always arm people in all areas. But you're right, you know, most people are don't want to talk about their emotions. It's sort of like two things you don't talk about: politics and emotions.
And that's why, you know, it's a part of the program. So it's not like you're choosing that, you know, you have, it's an extra thing and you think, well, I don't need emotional help. But now it's a part of it. And
it's free, so you do it.
Yeah, it surprises so many people that many people have been in sessions and they actually tell me 10 years of normal psychiatry, one session with our psychologist did it.
Yes. And we're gonna be dealing with recall healing as well at the beginning of the year. with Michelle Schrader. She's going to be on, and so is Jennifer Grummeth. But here's the question that I want to read. I only read the first line, and I stopped because I knew that this would take a little bit longer. The question is a little longer. So Jenny has been a fan of the classroom. She's been a student in the classroom for a while now, and I'm always grateful to see her pop up, see her name pop up. And so she's now asking for help. And so I just thought, since the two of you are here, maybe we can help out in some way. So it says, how do I ask for help? I am going to be open and honest today. I take a lot of medication. I take Tegretol for epilepsy and Prozac and Abilify for my mental illness, anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, PTSD. I take levothyroxine and for hypothyroidism, and I can't sleep, so I take trazodone. And I'm not very familiar with, so if I apologize if I mess up these names. As you know, my registered service mark is you can take a pill, you can take responsibility. So I'm not very familiar with these pills. And I can't sleep, so I take trazodone for that. I don't know where to start to get off all these meds. Asking for help. That's a good start. That's a good start. Well, Jenny, would you like to respond to that, both of you?
I don't know where Jenny lives, but there are what we call natural or complementary doctors that are legitimate. Now, let me be honest with you. Most of these doctors that call themselves natural doctors are not a whole lot better than mainstream doctors, as far as I'm concerned, because they don't have the empathy. They don't have the compassion. So if we can find, and maybe you can help her find, since she's in the classroom with you, somebody in her general location we can trust. Because when you have somebody like Jenny, and some of these meds she's on are very strong meds. Yeah. And the combination of these meds, 3 of them you just said, have counterindications together. So besides the fact that some of these are very strong, mixing these together amplify the problem.
Yes. Correct. It just goes on and on.
So we have to start, in her case, with her intestinal tract. So when people come to us like Jenny, first thing we do is we look at their bioterrain, their bacteria. So 100% of everyone who's come to us with sleep disorders, emotional disorders, since 1956, we start with the intestinal tract. How many healthy bacteria there? What bad bacteria are there? And some of these medicines she's taking are killing healthy bacteria. So ironically, they're supposed to be helping her psychologically. They're actually hurting her psychologically. So it's a counter. What it does is these meds never correct the problem. They shut off part of the brain. And what we have to do is turn on the serotonin creator. 90% of serotonin comes from the healthy bacteria in the intestinal tract. Then slowly but surely have a competent doctor in her area reduce. You don't ever just pull these medicines off. She'd go off the deep end. So you have to slowly take them and replace them, not only with talk therapy, but with natural means. And there are many, many medicines today. Tryptophan as an example for sleep, that's phenomenally good. You look at the things that we use for antidepressants, they're amazing. St. John's wort is an amazing product for that. 5-HTP, which is from a bean in Africa, amazing stuff. And let me say, if somebody like Jenny had the patience and time to take, almost 100% of them can come off these meds. Mm-hmm. And then thyroid is totally a different thing. What she's on, thyroxine or synthroid, really don't help you. Correct. They shut off the thyroid. But even though they're not plant-based, we'd much prefer that a doctor puts on Armour Thyroid or Nature Thyroid.
I'm on Nature Thyroid, yes.
They're much better. And then slowly but surely you help to reduce that and put her on the kind of supplements that we've actually created. Yeah. We have a line of supplements called Life Give. And so we have hormone balances in that and hormone blocks in that and things that she could use.
Yeah, she needs to re-nourish her system big time. That's when we make juice. And we don't put carrots or beets. We put loads of greens,
Sprouts.
celery, cucumber, and then half of it is sprouts. So it's really alive. We put sunflower sprouts, pea sprouts.
And these are not juice. These are blended.
No.
they're
When you blend something, you kill the nutrition.
Okay.
So anyone that says blending is juicing, they don't know about juicing. And
Okay.
juicing.
So this is juicing. You can juice a sprout. What kind of what kind of water comes out of a sprout?
Well, you need a wheatgrass juicer, which really grinds it.
Okay.
So
Got it.
You may not know this, but the Institute in the 70s created green juice. So why we have green juice in the world today is we created it. And the original green juice, nobody does it because it's expensive, is we put trays of sprouts, half trays of sprouts. They're complete protein. They're loaded with hormones.
Yes.
They have phytochemicals that will help Jenny or you or I, any one of us.
Yeah, you have a great sprout. I saw your garden. I don't know what it's called. Greenhouse. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so if somebody, see, this is the thing. Going to Hippocrates, I don't know what Jenny's financial ability is. Do you take insurance? Do you, like, some of these tests are insurance paying for? Is this cash only? Let's talk about that.
So unfortunately, Hippocrates insurance companies would not get behind us. Most of the major insurance companies, top stockholders are the pharmaceutical companies. So it's a racket, it's money in, money out. So we have to have independent. Now, really poor people, indigents, we offer scholarships to, but they have to go through a laborious process. So we find out they are indigent, because many times people from Palm Beach tell us they're indigent. So, we have to have tax things, bank accounts, and all of that.
So you do help people that can't afford,
if
they wonderful. So you do have scholarships. That's wonderful to hear. Again, we're talking to Anna Maria and Brian Clement, Hippocrates Health Institute. You can go to, if you are a subscriber at whenyouneedafriend.com, you get a blog once a week, and all their information, you can just click on it and it'll take you right to their site. But you can go to hippocratesinst.org. That's INST.
And we have
.org.
And we have open lectures, and you can look into that and come and see us.
Who you should have on, we just had here Sunday night, was the world's authority on genetic modified food. Jeffrey Smith.
We've reached out to him in the past, but he's been so busy, we haven't been able to get him on. Maybe you can pull some strings for me.
Send me an email in my office today, because he's still with us today.
Okay. So then, let's talk about Lyme disease. Kathy, I hope you're still with us. I am not in any way saying that everybody who's ill has an emotional connection to the illness, or there's a past trauma or something you're unwilling to do. But it's very common, is what I'm saying, because there are people who have Lyme that don't have all the symptoms. And maybe the Lyme that has been created now is different than the Lyme in the past. And I forget who it was. I think it was Dr. Lloyd who was on Dr. Lodi, who was in the classroom the other day. He said that's lab created. The Lyme today is lab created. These ticks are lab created. And so I want to address Lyme disease. How do you help people with Lyme disease that cannot get rid of their symptoms?
So 25 years ago, our medical department was IVing silver into people with chronic fatigue syndrome.
Really?
With amazing success.
Great.
And I didn't realize back then that everyone with Lyme's disease had chronic fatigue syndrome, because the immune system went down. And then 1, 2, 3, and it got to 5, and I started to listen. I'm a little slow sometimes. They said my Lyme symptoms went away. And I said, well, I don't know about it. So I picked up the phone and called a friend of mine in Washington State, Dr. Jonathan Wright.
Oh,
and I said,
yeah.
Dr. Wright, I said, what do you know about this? He said, I've been using it for 5 years. It reverses it. So for 25 years, when people come to us with Lyme's disease, not only do we do everything else that boosts the immune system, most important, we IV the silver in, and it selectively kills the spiral case.
Amazing.
Without killing. Now, I've never seen anything else universally work like that. what I will say to help you is when people have diseases that are created, this is warfare.
Yes.
So I don't know how many of your listeners know, or if you even know this, but in July, the Congress here in the United States are now talking about how this got out of Lyme's, Connecticut. That we now are having serious conversation in our government of why the war industry let Lyme's disease out. So this is not like a weird thing that some weird people are coming up with the conspiracy. Your Congress has it in front of them now. And so that wasn't caused by emotions, as Dr. Lodi, my friend in Indonesia said. But when you get Lyme's, boy, you get emotional. You get depressed, you get weak, you become dysfunctional in many cases.
You go through loneliness.
Exactly.
And that depresses the immune system as well. So,
Exactly.
I don't know, Kathy, if that makes any sense to you, but there is hope with silver. I know that I was exposed yesterday to something, and I came home last night with a sore throat, and I knew that, this weekend we're going Christmas caroling for people who are homebound. I organize that every year since I was 19 years old. And I'm like, I need to sing this weekend. So of course I apologize to my husband, but I take a clove of garlic, start sucking on it, and slept on my mat last night. I sleep on my mat. I'm like, okay, God, take over earth, take over my body, because there's so many things that we can do without thinking, I'm going to get sick, I'm going to get sick, I'm going to get sick. No, I am healthy. I am healthy. I am. My husband says to me, he goes, I'm not going to ask you how you're doing anymore, because he asked me how you feeling. I go, I'm healthy. I'm great. I'm fabulous. I'm phenomenal.
You got the right answer.
But anyway.
Sweat it out.
Yes. Okay. So I think Kathy responded. She says, I know all about, just wondering about treatments. She won't do silver. She won't do silver. I wonder why she won't do silver.
I have no idea. A lot of people believe the propaganda you see on television.
The blue man.
What they did is they
painted. Oh, that's another thing I did. I drank some of my Argentine 23.
Right.
I had just a shot of silver, and so this morning I am awesome.
Yeah,
exactly. People don't realize that before the pharmaceutical companies were created by the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, that every doctor used silver as an antibiotic.
Yep.
And so they poo-pooed it. And recently, because when the pharmaceuticals see something becoming mainstream and taking away their profits, they put guys like the Blue Man out.
Yeah.
That he has a story that I took too much silver and turned blue. Yeah. Well, I've been using silver for the last 35 years and I haven't turned blue yet.
And we take every trip we do, and we fly
on planes.
We make sure our nostrils are full of silver, and we never catch anything.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the fear. That is what controls us. If they can, that's why people have chemotherapy, radiation without even thinking about, figure out what your body is deficient of before taking that route. If you want to do that afterwards, if that's the last case scenario, but at the beginning, to give your body what it needs, what they do is they say, you've got one week to live. The only option that you have is this. And then that Blue Man guy that came out saying, oh, he loves being blue. And now he's gotten used to the blue color, and someone turns gray. Now, if you're doing that, then you're doing too much, right? Because the body tells us.
But I don't believe that Blue Man is real. No. I mean, look at we've been using.
There's the Blue Man Group. Maybe he was trying out for that.
Exactly.
That's the other side of the story that nobody says.
We've been utilizing this for 30 years on thousands of people. Nobody's turned blue, but many people believe this is part of why they got well.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, all I can say to you is that the guerrilla marketing that's conducted by the pharmaceutical industry is frightening. Look at the data that comes out of their medical journals. Most doctors don't read their own journals. I read their journals. And so problem is that a year ago, they came out and said, if you take radiation for any form of cancer, stage 1, stage 4, brain cancer, whatever it is, in the next 5 years, there's a 62 to 64% chance you're going to get a secondary cancer from the radiation. This is in their own journals.
Yes.
So you've got to remember this. As we know, Facebook, Google, YouTube is
They're
being
censoring.
manipulated by these
Yeah.
companies.
Yeah, we're being censored. Yes.
Th-
And
this
that's why I
morning-
want everybody to subscribe to whenyouneedafriend.com, because if we are censored, then where do we go? We have to continue with our base. So
Well, this morning I talked to a guy from Oslo that basically said they checked behind the Hippocrates presence on Wikipedia. They found out that the largest European company that manipulates data that works for the governments are behind putting negative stuff about Hippocrates on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there you go.
There
So
you
the
go.
same people that work for the British government, the German government, the French government is paid by somebody to badmouth Hippocrates on Wikipedia.
well, but here's the thing that we need to keep in perspective, and I know I need to go because I've got an appointment with some of my clients, because I do have a job. this is my
a
fun
job.
thing.
This
Yeah.
is a good job.
This is what I love. Okay, so here's the deal. Hundreds of thousands of people die each year for the treatment of cancer, chemotherapy, radiation, surgeries, and nobody says anything.
Yeah.
But one person who tries alternative way to
Right.
heal,
Oh,
if
boy.
they pass, then it makes the headline news.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And so we if we had the news report on every car accident there was, there
Nobody
would
would
be no
try.
news to report, because that would take precedence, right? But when an airplane goes down, everybody hears about the airplane who goes down. We got to keep that into perspective. It is intended to scare us. And so whenever you look at reports like that, you have to look at, okay, how many people die accidental deaths from taking medication the right way for the right reason with the
Hundreds of
right
thousands.
750,000 in
Hundreds of
America alone a year.
thousands.
okay, so
750,000 in America.
I knew you'd know the answer to that. And so
Yeah.
we've got to keep this all into perspective. So one last thing before we go, Kathy says that Kathy has vasculitis as
Right.
well, and she reacts. So can someone with vasculitis not use silver?
Nope, she can, and we use something in combination with called H-wave, and H-wave pumps the lymphatic system and opens up the vascular system of the body, the capillaries, the coronary area, and so it's combinations of things.
And we use a PICC line, so
Yeah,
it's fine.
you know what
Okay.
a PICC line is? Yes.
Yes. And so with that in mind, I hope that something we said here today will encourage you to start eating some more raw meals, or maybe give you a challenge. At the beginning of the year, I'm going to go back to raw vegan, because, little by little you start kind of like, started preparing a little bit of foods and doing a little things. And the next thing you know, you're eating less raw and more cooked. And so it's time. We have got to be like self-cleaning ovens. And
Yep.
when we
Yeah.
look at ourselves, we got to look at ourselves and say, what am I doing to contribute to?
Right.
Because we were perfectly made by our Creator.
Right.
Mm.
You got it.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were perfectly made, and God wants us to stay healthy. It's our gift. It's a gift that is given to us. And so how can we take that gift and multiply it?
Yep.
So that's a spirit, mind, body. Anyone who says one thing will cure you is selling you snake oil.
You
It's
got
a
it.
spirit, mind, and body. So
Yeah.
I want to thank you, Anna Marie and Brian. I know how busy you are, co-directors of Hippocrates Health Institute. Two of my heroes, two people that I've absolutely admired from afar and up close that I got to reconnect with as well. So excited to be able to have this and share your news, your new truth as well with my listening and viewing friends. So thank you
Nice
so
to
much.
be with you, love. You take care. Keep up your great
Yes.
work.
Make it a
Yes.
good
And so
Make it a
before you go, so we're going to say goodbye to our friends on Facebook. And if you have any questions that are left over, then please know that next time they come on, we'll address those. So we'll say goodbye on Facebook right now and on YouTube.